Good day and God bless Miss Pongase. I'm Queen Lindy D. Bitacora, and for today, I am going to present my findings from the country that you have assigned to me, which is the South Africa. So first, let's talk about brief background of South Africa. So South Africa is officially known as the Republic of South Africa, and it is the only country in the world that has three capitals, in which the governmental powers are divided into the Pretoria, which is considered as the executive, and the Cape Town, which is considered as the legislative capital, while the Bloemfontein, um, it is served as the judicial capital. So, in addition to these three main capitals of the country, so the country is also divided into 9 provinces, in which in each province are having its own capital city. So the total population of the South Africa is 59,750,000. So they're also having a parliamentary republic or government as their type of government. And the interesting also part of the South Africa is also they're having 11 languages as their official languages, which are the English, Afrikaans, Xhosa, Zulu, Ndebele, Tswana, Swati, Sotho, Southern Sotho, Venda, and Chonga. And let's talk about a short history of South Africa. South Africa has been inhabited by people for thousands of years. So before the Bantu group, the first people who inhabited the South Africa are the hunters and the gatherers. So there are the hunters and the gatherers. So they are called as Sun people. So they form such a larger tribes and herd livestock. And the second group of people who inhabited the South Africa were the Bantu people, in which early on its history, the Bantu tribes migrated to the area. And many of the people that live in the South Africa today speak some form of Bantu language. And the second one, the first Europeans to come to South Africa were the Portuguese in 1488. It was many years later, however, in 1652, the Dutch East India Company established a small settlement at the Cape of Good Hope. Many more Europeans moved in over time, including the Germans, French, and Dutch settlers. And these people became known as the Afrikaners. So, as you can see, these people such as the Dutch, French, or the Germans has played a big role in the history, which influences or became the reason that there are so lot of native languages existing in the South Africa, and they are called as the Afrikaners. So in 1948, the National Party was voted into power. They started a policy called apartheid. So apartheid is a sort of governmental policy, and people uh, this was where people were separated based on their race. Particularly white people and black people were separated, and the white people ruled the land. So the black people were enslaved by the white people. So there is an existing racial discrimination between the black people and the white people. So only white people are allowed to vote and are recognized to have universal or the rights of a human. But in 1961, South Africa became an independent nation, and it became free from outside control from the foreign invaders. So the next one. The African National Congress pushed for the end to the apartheid and the equal treatment of black South Africans. So Nelson Mandela was the leader of the ANC, or the African National Congress. So African Mandela, as the leader of the ANC, together with the other organizations fight against the apartheid policy, in which this causes more controversial, in which Nelson Mandela was sent into prison, and where he spent for 27 years in prison while fighting for equal rights. And until 1994, the apartheid policy was abolished and the black people were allowed to vote. So because of this, Nelson Mandela grant an honor because of his heroism in fighting against the apartheid. So he became a worldwide symbol against apartheid, in which he also received a Nobel Peace Prize, and he became the next president in the following years. So the next one, let's talk about the trivia and facts existing in the South Africa. So first, let's have, did you know South Africa celebrates its annual Heritage Day on the 24th day of September? On this day, South Africans get together to celebrate their diverse culture, traditions, and beliefs. You'll most likely to find people enjoying a braai or barbecue with a few dressed in traditional garb. So South Africa is also known as a rainbow nation. It is because of the mix of cultures, traditions, and customs, and even living of different people across the country. So the status of being a cultural melting point is evident enough that Africa has 11 official languages. So the second one, did you know that South Africa is a wildlife wonderland out there? Seeing a wildlife on South African safari is a bucket list experience. Well, the country has only covers 1% of the Earth's land surface. It is home to an abundance of animals, birds, and marine life. South Africa boasts 10% of the world's bird, fish, and plant species, as well as 6% of its mammal and reptile species. So South Africa is having this unique wild animals such as the elephants, lions, even African penguins, dolphins, white sharks, and many, many more. Did you know that South Africa is home to the Cradle of Humankind? In the Sterkfontein Caves, northwest of Johannesburg, are fossil sites where some of the earliest evidence of human evolution have been unearthed. Archaeologists have discovered human remains here, and some of which are more than 2 million years old. So, this place of the South Africa has become a natural and fossil history, with which can date back from thousands of years or even a millions of years. So there were found such as fossils of mammals and reptiles, and also dinosaur fossils. So these discoveries which made up the title The Cradle of Humankind, and also it became one of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Did you know that you can enjoy so many kinds of holidays in one country? South Africa is home to a variety of landscapes and biomes, including deserts, wetlands, bush belt, grasslands, mountains, and subtropical forest. South Africa has sunshine, sea and golden beaches. South Africa's Cape wine lines are waiting to be explored. So their wine lines are their winelands are also um, world famous or the world known. So on top of all of this, you can discover cosmopolitan cities and quaint seaside towns, or drive through breathtaking mountain passes and travel along dusty desert roads. So, did you know the world's first heart transplant was completed at Cape Town, South Africa? South African Dr. Christian Barnard performed the world's first heart transplant on the 3rd day of December 1967 at the Groote Schuur in Hospital in Cape Town. So the groundbreaking surgery was carried out on the Louis Washkansky, and Dr. Barnard was assisted by the large and exceptional team of surgeons, nurses, and technicians. Despite being unable to access formal training because of the apartheid, so what he learned from and assisted university researchers and went on to do amazing work. Did you know you can leap on the world's highest bungee jump? Travel to Chiksikama on the border of the Western Cape and Eastern Cape to visit the world's highest commercial bungee jump. Those who are brave enough can take on the 216-meter jump of Blockruns Bridge and soar through the air towards the Blockruns River below. So definitely, it is perfect for the thrill seekers. So the next one. Did you know Table Mountain is one of the oldest mountains in the world? So it is believed that it's believed that Cape Town's iconic Table Mountain is one of the oldest mountains in the world. So Table Mountain is approximately 260 million years old. It's also home to thousands of species of plant life, including species unique to the Cape floral region. It is also a popular hiking destination with hundreds of routes to explore. So, did you know that within the borders of South Africa, you'll find another country? The Malitsoenane River Valley in Lesotho shows how the country earned its nickname. The Kingdom of Lesotho is a sovereign state that is located in the Drakensberg mountain area. So the mountainous country has been nicknamed as the Kingdom in the Sky, thanks to the magnificent scenery and landscapes. So, as you can see, the Kingdom of Lesotho is located in the center of the South Africa, partly in the center of the Africa, as circled with the green color. So actually Lesotho is not a city or either a capital part of the South Africa, but it's a sovereign state within itself. But it is called as enclaved in South Africa because it is surrounded by a big state, but actually it is a sovereign state with itself. Next. So, the last part, we have the language policy and education in multilingual South Africa. So, South Africa is also a multilingual country. So, the Republic of South Africa is a multilingual one. Various different languages are used in South Africa, but in 1996 Constitution, 11 languages were made the official language of the country. In order of descending number of native speakers, they are Zolo, Xhosa, Afrikaans, Sepedi, English, Setswana, Sesotho, Setsunga, Swati, Chivinda, Nibili, and This is according to the statistics of South Africa in 2004 in page 8. So aside from those 11 languages, it was estimated in the 1996 that close to 25 languages were spoken regularly in the country. So, more or less, there are 25 languages existing in the country. But out of 11, only were 11 um, were considered as the official language. So, the diversity of the languages in South Africa is quite apparent, right? So, it is part of the country's multilingual policy, which to include all those 11 as official languages in the country, including the English, because English were considered as universal language. So, it also became a dominant language in the South Africa. So, the presence of multilingual policy in the South Africa's constitution, um, it is it empower the native languages, and instead of replacing it with the dominant languages. That it also strengthens the culture or the beliefs or the customs existing in the country. So, the next one. The period of apartheid from 1949 to 1994 segregated the country into white, black, colored, and Asian races. Apartheid was only overturned fairly recently, less than 20 years ago, and the effects of its segregation are still being felt today. Furthermore, apartheid did not stop at social levels and discrimination, but affected languages as well. According to the Noko, Noko no, ni, ni Kamwangamalu, each racial group had to have its own territorial area within which to develop its unique cultural personality, in which cultural personality extended to language and not only confined a language speakers to a region but discouraged linguistic mixing. So also it becomes a issue and a large an enormous argument within the government about allowing this kind of policy or such native languages to become one of the official languages. So South Africans can help from this kind of language situation in South Africa. So although despite of the efforts of the South African government uh, to stop this racial discrimination, but still there are existing problems within the system. So the next one. With the arrival of the 9 new languages, Afrikaans may be threatened enough to lose its balance in the linguistic power situation of South Africa, falling below English in prestige, as already schools turn to English over Afrikaans for a language of better opportunity. So this Africans is having this fear that they might lose their position in the South Africa. So what they did, so since Africans became dominant one of the dominant language in the South Africa, and so it until years passed by, so it became one of the official languages in the country. So actually, the Afrikaans is not a language. It's not a language of African country. Actually, it is derived or came. It is influenced by the Dutch and the Zulu languages. So actually, it is classified as rightfully as Creole or uh, a dialect. So it is not originally made by its name within the country. So because of the Afrikaners of uh, fear of they might lose position in the South Africa, and since they were in power, so um, they are able to make the Africans as one of the official languages. So the next one, South Africa has committed to keeping its multilingualism alive after the overthrow of apartheid, as it is written in the country's constitution that recognizing the historically diminished use and status of the indigenous languages of our people, the state must take practical and positive measures to elevate the status and advance the use of these languages. Although there are a lot of doubts or issues regarding this having a lot of native languages, but they pursue it. Wala na kayo nila ginakita ang mga problema nga daghang official languages or native languages as gihimo ng official languages. But but to but accordingly the South Africa's acceptance, implementation and promotion of multilingual of native languages as being one of the official languages are against the policy of the other African countries. It is because that nahadlok pod sila nga sama na nga tungod anang daghang languages, official languages, mahadlok sila nga it can also affect their unity, and also maka-apekto siya sa success and sa productive sa usa ka lugar. So because also thankful po sila because of the globalization, although naa siya mga negative sides, but also it became helpful in order to for the country to realize what are the possible movements or actions that that would help the country to improve. So next, during the apartheid times, the Bantu Education Act in 1953 stemmed partly in the religion and politics, and ended up with each mother tongue or native speaker forced to go to their mother tongue schools as well as to learn English and Afrikaans. Even the creator of the Bantu Education Act, Minister of the Native Affairs, Hendrik Verwoerd, was open about his goals in separating black and white children, with the black children firmly below the white on the scale, with no place for him in the European community above the level of the certain forms of labor. So, ang Bantu education is an influence from the British and the Zulu languages. So, during this time, there are naigitawag na the twofold effect, in which the first one, the white Americans, as they are having more opportunity, they have more prestige and position nga mas maka-learn pa in an education system, while unlike sa black American the black people, they have limited lang in ilang opportunity to learn. It is because of the segregation or the racial discrimination that existed during that apartheid. So the next one. Nowadays, in English language schools, English is learned as first language and another of various languages is taught secondarily. Whereas in Afrikaans language schools, the school language choice is usually English, but in large enough numbers of students choose to learn an indigenous language even if it is not their mother tongue, and the school is required to offer it. Though there are a difference, there are still mga makita nga difference between the upper teen period and nowadays when it comes to educational system. So, a student or a learner are not pressure or forced to be a bilingual. But also, kining however, ilagya po na silang gi-offer nga as part of multilingual policy, ilang gina-offer nga naata ang student na siya kaon na primary language and secondary language. So ang sa ni there are two kinds of school, which is the English language school and the African language school. So ang English language school is ang ilahang formal instruction as primary nila is mao ang English, and secondary nila nga mga languages is ang mga native languages sa South Africa. Well, ang ikaduha naman po is Afrikaans. So, since the African itself is native languages, so mo na lang primary language nga ginagamit, and the second one is secondary nila nga language is mao ang English. So, mo na ang kalainan sa English nga English language school o ang African language school. So, the next, universities in South Africa are mainly English or Afrikaans, but are also starting to require students' knowledge of one indigenous language in order to comply with multilingual policy. So next. So despite of good intentions and pretty constitutional statements, English and Afrikaans continue to dominate in schools and society in the country due to their higher prestige and global potential, even though most African speakers are not native English speakers. So, English and African languages is become a vital part of their educational system. So, another thing, multilingual policies is promoting not only to go with the flow with the globalization and the trends of the world, it's also promoting preservation and valuing the costumes or the culture within the state. So English and Afrikaans, so it is kept as a vital part of the educational system. So the indigenous students have poor English skills. So promoting language would help support those communities. So it would hopefully boost the status of the languages as well as to keep them in use. So there is also poses problems. So there are higher rates of illiteracy rates among the indigenous language speakers and smaller numbers of the non-English teaching schools. So lack of interest in indigenous languages prevents educational advancement, but lack of the resources is also a real problem. So even with changes and reforms in language policies and practice in education, So it is not enough to grant a language or languages equal status. So it needs an ability to provide for its speakers in a global world. And that would be all. Thank you so much, ma'am, and God bless.